Peace, family. It's your brother, Marc Lamont Hill. Welcome to Night School, right here, Night School on the Marc Lamont Hill official YouTube channel. We do this every night, Monday to Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern. We have a conversation that goes deep. It's not a drive-by conversation like you see on cable news. It's not sound bites. It's not slick talk. It's not shallow analysis. This is not what this place is about. Instead, we do deep dives. We do deep conversations about the most important matters, the most pressing issues, the most intense debates going on in the world around us. It is not a TV show. It is not a podcast. It is a global classroom. Hit the like button if you're up here with me checking this thing out, because I appreciate y'all for being here tonight. And we got a lot going on. I got to say, from the gate, that I'm riding solo tonight. Princess has the night off. My producer, my fearless producer. She's had some adventure going on somewhere where she does amazing things. Like she climbs mountains and like hunts and solves crimes Olivia Pope style when she's not working. I don't have proof of this, but I'm pretty confident that that's what happens. Anyway, we start tonight with Donald Trump. Donald Trump made a trip to D.C. today, and Donald Trump went to D.C. to do what he does best, to work on his campaign, to gin up support, to intimidate people, to cause trouble, and to lie about it. So he pulls up to D.C. and he meets with congressional Republicans. And Donald Trump shows up to meet with these Republicans to organize the campaign, to speak, quote unquote, off the record about all the things going on in the country and about what he's going to do in preparation for Milwaukee. Of course, Milwaukee is the place where he will accept, presumably, if he's not in jail, the Republican Party's nomination for the presidency. That's the move. That's what he's supposed to be doing. And so Donald Trump is there talking to them. And the first thing that happens, the first leak that comes out of that meeting, and when I say a leak, I don't mean one person, two people. I mean lots of people came out of there saying that Donald Trump very clearly, unequivocally said that Milwaukee, Wisconsin, the city where he will accept the Republican Party's nomination, is a horrible city. The comment first got reported by Punch Bowl News while the meeting was in progress. Now, there are people who disagree. There's some Republicans who went to Twitter to drop on their knees and shine Trump's shoes, saying he didn't say that or he used it differently or whatever. But the truth of the matter is, a whole lot of people came out and very clearly said Trump said Milwaukee was horrible. They tried to do clean up later and say, well, he was talking about the crime in Milwaukee. Nah. He was talking about Milwaukee. Why is this important? It's important for a couple of reasons. One, it reminds you that Donald Trump is racist. Donald Trump is literally running for president. He wants to win the presidency. In order for Donald Trump to win the presidency, Donald Trump has to win Wisconsin. It would be very difficult to win the presidency and not win Wisconsin. That's just a fact. So if you want to win Wisconsin, why would you go around saying that Milwaukee is horrible? What would motivate somebody? Seriously, right? This isn't a hypothetical. What would motivate somebody to go in front of a room of Republicans and a room of reporters, right, and say Milwaukee's horrible? And even if I accept the premise that you were talking about the crime, and I don't think you were, but if you did, that has its own connotation to it. Why would you do that? I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna show you something. Look at this. This is from the Twitter feed of the city of Milwaukee. And this gentleman you're looking at is the mayor of Milwaukee. Y'all get the picture? Milwaukee has a black mayor. Milwaukee has a lot of black people, right? Milwaukee is not like, Madison, Wisconsin, right? it's not a town that fits the stereotype of the Midwest. Milwaukee is 38.6% Black, 10% mixed races or multiple race, 7% other race. That means that about 54%, most people in Milwaukee are not white. Let me just make it that simple. So he's simply playing into the traditional Republican talking point and narrative that horrible cities are run by Democrats and they're run by Black folk. He says it about Baltimore. He says it about Philadelphia, right? He says it about Detroit. He says it about Chicago. These aren't coincidences. Donald Trump knows exactly what he's doing. He is saying that those cities are horrible because there are Black people in them and because Black people run them, and that the crime and all the problems are due to Black people. Why does he say that? Because he knows, one, he'll get cosigns from the Republican people in the office and in the room that he's talking to, but also he knows that when it leaks, and he knows it's going to leak, he ain't that dumb. When the story leaks, Donald Trump knows that him saying that will only get him more support from the white people who don't like Black people. And when Black people get mad and talk about it, like I'm doing right now, he knows that me talking about Donald Trump being racist will make the racists support Trump even more. So he's just shoring up his base. And even in the context of Milwaukee and Wisconsin more broadly, he knows that for every vote he loses in Milwaukee, and it ain't many because them Negroes wouldn't vote for him, no way, he'll get more in the other states. He'll get more in the suburbs of Wisconsin. For every vote he loses in Milwaukee, he'll get 2 in Green Bay, right? That's the logic. I'm not saying it's true, but that's the logic. Well, the mayor of Wisconsin, Milwaukee, excuse me, the mayor of Milwaukee, he didn't like it. And he responded to President Trump, former President Trump. Listen to this.
Well, Donald Trump wants to talk about things that he thinks are horrible. All of us lived through his presidency, so right back at you, buddy. I'd say that. Look, obviously, Donald Trump is wrong about something yet again. I find it kind of perplexing. I find it kind of strange that he would insult the largest city in Wisconsin because he's running for president. He obviously wants to win Wisconsin, win the election. And so to insult the state that's hosting your convention, I think is kind of bizarre. Actually, it's kind of unhinged in a way, especially considering the fact that in Milwaukee there are about 50,000 Republicans who live right here in the city. So you're calling their home horrible. I mean, I don't quite understand that.
So again, I understand it. I get it. Again, there's a logic to it that makes sense, and it's what I just said, right? The mayor of Milwaukee is saying, "Why would you insult the people who you want to vote?" Donald Trump doesn't mind insulting people, and Donald Trump doesn't want everybody's vote. I mean, he'd love to have it, but he knows he ain't getting it. He knows he ain't getting it. So if you know you're not getting it anyway, you have kind of nothing to lose by just doubling down on the same old, same old. And again, it worked. It ain't like it didn't work. Donald Trump won the election. He won the election doing this. So it makes sense. Anyway, another thing happened in that meeting with the Republicans, that secret meeting with the Republicans. Donald Trump, while sitting in that meeting, and he met with a lot of Republicans. When he walks out of the meeting, they asked Donald Trump a very interesting question. When Donald Trump left his meeting with congressional Republicans, he was asked if his vice presidential choice was in the room. By the way, I got to say, shout out to the reporter that asked that question, because that is a wonderful question to ask. If you're going to ask a question to Donald Trump, other than, why are you a terrible person, or, why are you racist, etc., asking a question like that actually advances the story and it advances the conversation. It's an actual decent question. They asked him, was your VP choice in the room? And here's what Donald Trump said. I'm gonna see if I can pull up the audio. If I don't have the audio, I will at least pull up. I'll at least give you the exact quote. Um, they asked him if he was sort of uh, close. So two things. First, they asked him who was his VP choice in the room. He said there's a good chance that his VP choice was in the room. That tells you a lot. That's number one. Then Donald Trump also had just met with Glenn Youngkin, who is the governor of Virginia. If you don't know what Mr. Youngkin looks like, let me show you a picture. Again, I'm flying by myself, y'all, so forgive me if my technology skills ain't as sharp as they normally are. But Mr. Youngkin was there meeting with Donald Trump across the river, and this is what he looks like. By the way, you'll be shocked to know he's a white man with a red tie, and he's not that attractive, right? They got a type. Republicans got a type. But anyway, and they asked if his meeting partner, Mr. Youngkin, was there, and he said, or if he was on the list, and he said, yeah, he probably is. It was one of those rare moments where Donald Trump didn't seem to have an answer and was forced to give an honest answer. He said, yes, I haven't been asked that question, but he would be on that list. Now, Youngkin is 57, which in presidential terms these days makes him a spring chicken, because between Trump and Biden, they're both like damn near 150. In fact, they're over 150 combined. So he met him at the country club. They talked. The governor of Virginia is on the list. Let's talk about the rest of Donald Trump's VP list. And again, he's very coy about who his VP list is. But we know that he was looking at senators in particular. Marco Rubio from Florida. J.D. Vance, Ohio. Tim Scott of South Carolina. I had a joke, but I won't say it. We've also heard that Byron Donalds, the representative out of Florida, the one who thinks black families were just as strong under Jim Crow. Elise Stefanik, who made all that hullabaloo with those congressional hearings with the university presidents of MIT, Penn, and Harvard. They're all on the list. They're all on the list. It's a list. Youngkin is closer to the top of the list than people might think. Marco Rubio is nowhere near the list. I promise you, Marco Rubio will not make the list. Yes, Byron Donalds has not been vetted yet. The Marco Rubio, the senators who I mentioned have been vetted, but then there are other people who are being considered. So, well, no, Byron Donalds and Elise Stefanik have been vetted. They just haven't been vetted to the same extent as Marco Rubio, J.D. Vance, and Tim Scott. But they're under consideration. The most intense scrutiny have gone to Vance, Scott, and Rubio. But Byron Donalds and Elise Stefanik have been vetted according to political sources. They're not my sources, but according to respected sources, they have. Now you're saying if Byron Donalds disagrees and says it didn't happen, you have to trust whether or not you believe him or not. I don't believe anything any of them say. But either way, the question becomes, who does Donald Trump choose? I don't think he chooses Marco Rubio. I don't think Marco Rubio is in serious consideration. As much as Byron Donalds wants to be in serious consideration, I'm not sure one way or the other where he is on the list. He's doing all of the buck dancing that one does when they really want to be president and vice president, right? In that, first you be vice president, and they got that long-term plan and dream, and they say, well, I'll run. The problem is Byron Donalds, I'm not sure he gets you more Florida than you're already getting. Same thing with Marco Rubio. And it's only a cynical calculus that makes you choose either of them in real life. At least Stefanik doesn't get you anything. You're not winning New York. You already have the MAGA people. I'm not sure what you get for it, you know? I said months ago that Ben Carson was going to be the choice. And I still think Ben Carson is way further down the line or on the list. He's way higher up on the list than people think he is. I think he actually has a legit shot. Don't underestimate the possibility of Ben Carson. But Tim Scott, I got to say, he's doing some serious work to get the choice. The way he's willing to scratch when he don't itch and laugh when he's not tickled, it's important. But South Carolina isn't vulnerable. It's not a vulnerable state. But if Donald Trump is trying to close in that black vote, again, I don't know if he does. I think Ben Carson does that for you more. But Tim Scott, he could do a lot worse than Tim Scott. That's all I'm going to say. If you're trying to make the choice, you know, Ben Carson is still my dark horse, so to speak. Marco Rubio, again, I just don't see it. I just don't see it. But at the end of the day, please know that whoever Donald Trump chooses, it will be a cynical ploy. It won't be about governing the country. It won't be about uniting people. It won't be about complementing skill sets. Like, oh, you know, I know more about this. He knows more about that. Therefore, we'll do this, right? Like sort of like the way Biden became Obama's VP, partly because of, you know, he's a steady old white man who made white people feel comfortable. Let's not pretend it not the case. But also he had foreign policy experience. He had considerable experience getting people to compromise in the Senate, striking deals on both sides of the aisle. I mean, I don't like the policies, but you know, if you're trying to execute those policies, he was the right guy to help do it. Trump's not using that logic. You know, Trump wants to win and that's it. He's not thinking about governing because he doesn't have a vision of changing the world. He has a vision of running the world. I always say there's two kinds of people that run for president: people who want to change the world and people who want to run the world. Trump just wants to run it. And anybody who will help him do that, he will be more than happy to have. So please, Trump says he's going to wait until the convention. He says he's going to not make the announcement before then. But I would be very surprised if the choice doesn't become clearly, if not painfully apparent before then. Anyway, everybody, hang with me. We'll be right back with more Night School right after this. All right, family, welcome back to Night School. So, as a black person in America, there are moments where black people do things that make you feel embarrassed. Now, true racial liberation is the moment where a black person can do something and we just judge that black person based on their individual action. But I got to tell you, I ain't there yet. But I see black people do certain things in public. I watch them. I don't care if I'm sitting on the train. I don't care if I'm crossing the street or if I'm at the White House, which I don't get invited to. If I see a black person acting the fool, I feel like they shamed the race. And that's what happened the other day when Billy Porter went to the White House. Now, I'm going to set the scene for you first. Negroes are at the White House because of Juneteenth. Juneteenth became a national holiday under Donald Trump. Yuck. And since then, the White House has used it as an opportunity to extol the virtues of the administration, to talk about how down they are, how connected to the community and culture they are. That's why they hold Eid celebrations after Ramadan. Except No imam showed up because you're bombing Palestine, or you're aiding and abetting the bombing of Palestine, the genocide against the Palestinian people in Gaza. But Negroes showed up for Juneteenth. Doesn't matter what Biden does to black folk. They showed up for Juneteenth. Oh, these Negroes showed up and showed out for Juneteenth. And when they got to Juneteenth, there was music and celebrations, all the blackness, right? The White House, the same White House that undermines black freedom and liberation, fundamentally is the kind of the staple of an imperial nation. They invite Negroes to come sing and dance. And Negroes show up and they sing and they dance. They show the world the beauty and the power and the majesty of black life and black culture, which I'm not mad at. What I don't like, though, is how some of us act when we get in front of these white people. Now, before I show you the thing that irritates me, let me first show you the context. I want you to get a feel of the cultural milieu. It's a fancy word. I want you to understand the context, the milieu. Look at this milieu. I don't want to love nobody but you. I don't want to love nobody but you. Gospel flavor. I don't want to love nobody but you. I don't want to love nobody but you. I don't want to love nobody but you. Say, what is it, too? He said today, he will come through. He won't, that's not what superheroes do. So the first thing you got to pay attention to is Joe Biden. Joe Biden is, at best, 50% in this room. The other half is on Jupiter somewhere. He looks like he had his first edible, and it was kicking in right around the time that Kirk Franklin started kicking it up there. I don't know. I don't think he's high. I think he looks like people who are high look. I think it's more like he's really old and doesn't know where he is. I don't expect him to sing and dance. I don't expect him to clap. I don't expect him to do none of that. The fact that other people are clapping calls more attention to the fact that he looks completely out of it. Completely out of it. But I'm not mad at that. I mean, I am mad at that because we shouldn't elect people that damn old. You can call it ageist if you want, but nobody that damn old needs to be the president. I'm sorry. Nobody that old needs to be. I'm sorry, DeMarie. Nobody that old wants to be or needs to be the president. That's the word. It is a mess. And so you got all these Negroes there who are clapping and singing and dancing and smiling. And I'm not mad at that. In seriousness, I mean, the White House should celebrate black culture. But it's the way we do it sometimes, man. And you saw in the front of the line, and I know you saw it. I know you saw it. You saw Billy Porter. Billy Porter is a phenomenal performer, phenomenal singer, dancer, actor. Billy Porter does it all. That's him on the left. He's wearing a sequin gown. So my issue with Billy Porter isn't what he's wearing. Wear what you want. Not my business. And it's a nice gown. Beautiful gowns, to quote the great Aretha Franklin. That ain't my issue at all. My issue is after all that singing and dancing, Billy Porter walks over to the president and does this. Kisses his hand. What in the step and fetch it is happening? Why are you kissing this man's hand? Why are you kissing this man's hand? Now you see Doug Emhoff, Kamala Harris's husband, the second man, I think, the second gentleman. He's there. Vice President Harris is there. President Biden's there. Everybody's there. Everybody's happy. We could have just been there. We could have just did a handshake because we happy. We could have did a hug because we happy. But you kissing that man's hand. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. You know, Abel, I'm looking at Doug too, and I'm like, is he looking at Billy Porter? Like, what are you doing? But sometimes pictures can be out of context, so I don't want to assume that that's what's happening. Is he being facetious? I don't know. But if he is being facetious, it's a bad, bad joke. It's a terrible joke because the context doesn't get communicated in the joke. All I see is this man kissing Joe Biden's hand. And it might seem like a small gesture, but it's a huge gesture on another level. First of all, we're in a season where some of us are trying to hold President Biden more accountable. And the White House's position, every Democratic White House I'm talking about, is that we're the best game in town for you. And you know what? Compared to Republicans, they probably are. But Black people get framed, as political scientists talk about, as a captured electorate. We can't go nowhere. Democrats are our best bet, and Democrats don't give a damn about us. So what happens? We stay. And they just keep saying, well, you can't do no better. In fact, when Joe Biden shows up on the Breakfast Club and says, if you don't vote for me, you're not really Black, ha, 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 you think that's funny. But there's a certain kind of insiderness that you think you have. There's a certain kind of cookout status that you think you have. And I don't believe in any Black people giving white people cookout passes. No, nobody gets to the cookout. You know why white people don't get to the cookout? Because when shit like this happens, the white man should be like, no, bro, don't do that. Don't do that, bro. This ain't it. Stand up, Billy. This is a reminder of why we can't ever trust Democrats. Not the kiss itself, not that. It's just a reminder that our votes are taken for granted, and a big chunk of our people won't fight for more because they feel like Democrats are our friends. Now, I understand it's also about just having good home training. Billy Porter's a wonderful guy, as far as I know, and he has great home training. And he was just, honoring the person who invited him to the White House. He's the damn president. I get it. I get it. Be gracious. Be humble even. But I'm old enough to remember a few years ago when they got mad at a Democratic president for just bowing to a certain president. We don't bow. We don't do this. We don't do that. We're Americans. So why is this Negro bowing? Why is the president okay with that? It's not okay. It's absolutely not okay. It's embarrassing. And I know as a Black man, I shouldn't be embarrassed by what other Black men do. But I got to tell you, when I see this, it just emboldens other people to engage in similar acts of coonery. And I'm at a moment right now where my coonery quotient is really, really high. Like, I can't take no more. Because we through the roof with it. And it's even more disturbing, to the second point, because Billy Porter has been chosen to be James Baldwin on screen. He's supposed to be James Baldwin. He's supposed to be James Baldwin. How the hell are you going to be James Baldwin? Scratching when you don't itch and laughing when you are not tickled. How are you going to be James Baldwin, who stood up against white supremacy? How are you going to play James Baldwin, who fought for Black dignity, who exemplified Black dignity, who spoke out against empire. How are you going to be James Baldwin while kissing the hand, literally kissing the ring of the leader of the most sinister and powerful empire in the world today? How are you going to do that? What would James Baldwin say to you? What would James Baldwin say to Biden? What would Baldwin instruct someone to do if they were going to the White House? Would it be to shuck and jive and sing and dance and kiss the ring? Or would it be something substantive? Now, again, I'm not trying to attack Billy Porter, but you can't be up in these spaces acting like you ain't been there before. We need more. We need somebody who doesn't support Zionism. We need somebody who doesn't support imperialism. We need somebody who's willing to call out white supremacy, not try to integrate into it. And that's what Billy Porter's doing. And that's why that picture, this picture, is so despicable. So I'm sorry. I don't like to call people out, especially my black fam, right? We should do call-ins. But this is a very visible picture at a very visible public event that in and of itself, I think is problematic. But this right here, ooh, our people got a lot of unlearning to do. A lot of unlearning to do. Everybody can't be James Baldwin. Nobody could be James Baldwin. He's a 101. He's 101. But if you're going to try and be in that tradition, if you're going to try to be him, and I know it's acting, I know you don't have to be that person, but it'd be real funky if the person who was out here playing Martin Luther King hated black people, the person playing Malcolm X was running around with white women. I mean, I don't know, eating pork chops. I mean, it's just something about it would seem problematic. Well, right now you're playing Baldwin, who was a same gender loving, anti-imperialist truth teller, courageous, beautiful, bold. And you are here kissing the ring of empire. Sorry, Billy Porter. This ain't it. Anyway, y'all, back with more Night School right after this. Hang with me.
Right? You make her happy, so you'll be all right. And happy wife normally is about happy life for me.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It ain't about her, it's about you.
So Van says that because Jewish people showed up for Black Americans during the Civil Rights era, he now feels compelled to stand with them now. Let me be clear.
What's the white liberal ideology I'm following?
I'm not saying you.
No, that's what you said. So I'm saying, which one?
No one is free until we are all free. There's no room for any injustice. All right, family, welcome back to Night School. It is time now. Whew. All right, family, welcome back. It is time now for the War on Gaza report. Israel's war on Gaza has now reached day 251. That's right, 251 days of an imperial onslaught and a genocidal war against the Palestinian people inside of the Gaza Strip. And we begin the report, as we always do, with the numbers. As of today, as of right now, 37,232 people have been killed, and 85,037 people have been wounded in Israel's war on Gaza since October 7th. Again, 37,232 people have been killed, 85,037 have been wounded. And of course, the death toll in Israel from Hamas's attack on October 7th is 1,139, with dozens of people remaining captive, hostage, kidnapped inside of Gaza. The numbers stay the same every day. The rates stay the same. The numbers go up. They never stay the same. That's actually the point, right? Is that we never have a day where nobody dies. And that's because Israel's nonstop war continues in every sector of the Gaza Strip. Some people are dying from bullets. Some people are dying from bombs. Some people are dying from starvation. Some people are dying from dehydration, but people are dying daily. And today is no different. Today and last night, even Israeli helicopter gunships, attack drones, and warplanes descended onto Rafah as Palestinian fighters engaged Israeli troops in running street battles. Rafah continues to be an intense battleground. I know for a while, Rafah was the site and the target. There was fear mongering, there was trepidation. But what would happen long before Ramadan, the idea was we could stop this whole thing with the ceasefire so that there'd be no struggle during Ramadan, and went through Ramadan and went through every other day of these 251 days. And then finally, there was an attempt at a ceasefire. And Benjamin Netanyahu, the prime minister of Israel, said, well, no matter what, we're still going to attack Rafah. The world said, don't attack Rafah. The world said that if you attack Rafah, there will be a humanitarian crisis, a disaster. And that's exactly what happened. And it continues to wage on right now with no global mechanism of accountability, no teeth to any kind of censure or rebuke or criticism. And so the Gaza Strip, and Rafah in particular, continues to be a site of extraordinary and disturbingly preventable violence. President Biden spoke out about the proposed ceasefire deal, saying now that he did not expect to see a Gaza ceasefire deal in the near future. Reporters asked him if there'd be a truce soon. He said no. If President Biden isn't even pretending, not even putting up a pretense that the violence is going to stop, that a truce is going to come, that a ceasefire deal is going to come, there is absolutely no hope. Now, Biden says he hasn't lost hope. And I personally never lose hope in the people or in the possibilities of the world transforming in dramatic and previously unforeseeable ways. I am down for transformation. That's possible. But right now, Hamas and Israel are at an impasse. And by the sources I've spoken to, and I haven't gotten the details of the hangups, but I have been told there are lots of hangups, or several hangups that are simply non-negotiables. Hamas has some things they're not willing to let go of, and Israel some things that they're not willing to let go of. It's very clear that unless Israel engages in a full and complete withdrawal, Hamas is not going to accept this, because any Israeli presence means a constant onslaught and a constant bombardment and a constant sense of unsafety for the Palestinians in Gaza. And of course, Israel is saying, well, if we don't have a permanent presence there, we're vulnerable to more October 7th. And Hamas is saying, well, it won't be October 7th if we have peace, self-determination, freedom, etc. And so there's a back and forth about that. The other back and forth, of course, is that Hamas does not want to lose power. No one fights so that they can be out of office. And Israel's non-negotiable, I'm sure, is Hamas no longer rules the Gaza Strip. That's a promise that Netanyahu made to the Israeli people and to the world. And it's something that the world seems to believe as well. So, in a certain way. And so the idea of moving forward with a ceasefire where Israel leaves and Hamas walks out of office seems like a non-starter, seems like a non-negotiable, which takes us back here to this place, as President Biden has aptly said for once, it ain't happening soon. And as long as it doesn't happen soon, there'll be more death. At least 14 Palestinians were killed in Gaza City early today. At least 14. These were from Israeli airstrikes. The airstrikes were not in military targets. They were on residential buildings. Now, Israel will say that there were 10 million Hamas leaders in there, and if they hadn't struck the residential building, everyone else would have died. And so Jack Bauer style, they have a whole narrative But sorry, I got the hiccups there for a second. It's not clear what the military intelligence told them. It's not clear if there were legitimate military targets or military combatants in the building, or even how they come to construct or imagine what a military combatant is. So we're in a tough road when you see 14 people die just in that residence. And that wasn't the only set of deaths that happened in Gaza. Again, we're at 37,232 people in 251 days. Now, I ain't no math whiz, but I'm gonna pull out this calculator real quick and say 37,232 divided by 251 is 148 people a day. 148 people a day die. 148 people a day are dying in Gaza. Can you imagine 148 Israelis dying a day in the world standing like this? Can you imagine 148 French people, English, British, whatever, Americans, Russians? 148 a day in the world is doing nothing. Something we got to talk about, something we got to think about. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, that is the Gaza update. Thank you for watching. Just keep watching every single day. We'll continue to give you coverage of the war in Gaza and the war on Gaza, because this is indeed an imperial genocidal war on the Palestinian people. Stay with me with more Night School. When we come back, I got two more stories for you. One is about Candace Owens and her clapback against Ben Shapiro, and the other is about our girl Caitlin Clark, who doesn't seem to be getting the story right on race. Anyway, stay with me. More coming up right here on Night School.
Right? You make her happy, so you'll be all right. Yeah. And happy wife normally is about happy life for me.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It ain't about her, it's about you.
So Van says that because Jewish people showed up for Black Americans during the Civil Rights era, he now feels compelled to stand with them now. Let me be clear.
What's the white liberal ideology I'm following?
I'm not saying you.
No, that's what you said. So I'm saying, which one?
No one is free until we are all free. There is no room for any injustice.
Right? You make her happy, so you'll be all right. Yeah. And happy wife normally is about happy life for me.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It ain't about her, it's about you.
So Van says that because Jewish people showed up for Black Americans during the Civil Rights era, he now feels compelled to stand with them now. Let me be clear.
What's the white liberal ideology I'm following?
I'm not saying you.
No, that's what you said. So I'm saying, which one?
No one is free until we are all free. There is no room for any injustice.
Welcome back to Night School, y'all. I appreciate y'all, man. Sorry for that extra delay, but I had to get up, stretch. I'm old, y'all. I'll play basketball this past weekend for the first time in a couple of years. Since my Achilles rupture, I still can't really move on that leg well, but I wanted to get some circulation. I did pretty good. But then last night, I slept on the wrong side. I fell asleep on the couch. I'm limping. Not from a contact sport. Not from any kind of trauma. I just slept on the wrong side. What part of the game is that? When you get so old, you just start sleeping on the wrong. You know what I mean? And anybody who ain't old enough, keep on living. I'm trying to tell you. I remember one day I was in Brooklyn with my wife. We were out at this spot. We were just chilling for a couple hours, enjoying a beverage. I stood up, and when I tell you, I literally almost fell. My hip just gave out. She was like, "How do you get injured sitting down?" Keep on living. That's all I can tell y'all, man. Keep on living. I am old, y'all. Not old, but my body is like, man, you never should have played basketball. You were not Your body should be, you should be reading books. I should have read more books growing up, because whatever I was doing instead of that, my body is paying me back right now, yo. Woo. I did not. I'm talking about, I've been limping all day like I played football. Kachi Kitty says, speak for yourself. You're right. Look, might just be me. Jazz said, I got ready to get out of the car last week and my hip went out and I went to the hospital. And then I was like, yo, that'd be the other thing. Once you get to the doctor or the hospital or the whatever, everything works normal. Then they think, not that you're injured, but that you're a crazy person. Chad understands. He said, my last big back injury from leaning over the dishwasher the wrong way. Chad, I get it. Thank y'all for breaking this down for me. My last big back injury, dishwasher. I got to write that down, man. The second I turned 40, that BS started, and I'm still in shape. I'm terrified of 45. I'm tell you, look at me. I could tell you what 45 look like, bro. Woo. Let's just say if you don't turn over during the night, you're done. Denise said, I'm old. 62. See, 62 ain't old. To me, the old part ain't about the age. It's about the condition you. I just don't take care of my. I don't know what it. I ain't gonna say I don't take care of myself, but whatever I did or didn't do, I wore my body out. My body is like, Negro, sit your behind down. Anyway, I guess we should talk about some other stuff. So, Candace Owens gets the last laugh against Ben Shapiro and the Daily Wire. Why do I say that? Well, Candace Owens was effectively fired from the Daily Wire for having the audacity to have a different opinion on Israel-Palestine than Ben Shapiro and some of the other people there. Some of the mainstream right-wing perspectives on Israel-Palestine became the norm there. And she spoke outside the norm. Now, Candace Owens and I don't agree on most things political. We see the world very differently. We see race different. We see culture different. We see identity different. We see all the stuff different. And I'm not sure we see Israel-Palestine the same way, because fundamentally, that's not her issue, and she doesn't pretend that that's her issue. But what Candace does say is they're innocent people who are also Palestinian. She rejected the idea that a Republican congressman had raised, which was that there are no innocent Palestinians. There are no, innocent bystanders. There are no casualties, right? It's a genocidal logic. She spoke about the evil of Palestinian children dying. And she rejected the idea that anybody who criticizes Israel is anti-Semitic. She challenged Rabbi Shmuley for being inappropriate, not like disrespectful, inappropriate in the sense of the discourse that he was being ridiculous. And lots of people think Shmuley's ridiculous. Even Ben Shapiro thinks Shmuley's ridiculous. I've heard him say that Shmuley does too much, basically. And they did to Candace Owens what they did to me, what they did to Brianna Joy Gray, what they did to Katie Halper. And when I say they, I'm talking about media outlets. I'm not talking about a Jewish conspiracy. I'm not talking about some cabal of power. Please, please, please do not attribute that to me. And please don't believe that that's the case. There is no secret Jewish cabal of power. That's not what this is about. This is about effective lobbying. This is about political power. In the same way that the gun lobby has power, in the same way that the pro-life movement has power, the Israel lobby has power. And that power, as in all these forms of power and spaces of power, operates partly in the media. And it silences conversation. And so Ben Shapiro, when he went to war against Candace Owens, and he did wage a war against Candace Owens, leaking or having, I don't know if he leaked it, but somebody leaked him having a private conversation in public about Candace, saying that she's basically despicable for her positions on Israel since October 7th. continuing to talk about her in interviews even after they let her go. Through all of that, the idea was that we made you and we can break you. We brought you into this media world. We could take you out. And so when they fired Candace Owens had a huge following. Candace Owens had, I think, 3 million YouTube subscribers. What do I have? Like 150,000? That's why people say you platform Candace Owens. I didn't platform Candace Owens. I can't platform Candace Owens. Candace Owens can platform me. She's doing with all the followers. She has a huge footprint in the media world and in the culture of our country. You don't have to agree with her to recognize the fact that she's a legitimate power broker here now. But the Daily Wire stopped her show. They let her go. So now she loses those 3 million subscribers. She loses that daily outlet where she could say how to make pancakes and 1 million people gonna watch. They took it all away. And when the Daily Wire took it all away, it's a way not only of trying to punish and control Candace Owens, but it's like any other lynching. And the lynching is not about the death exclusively. It's about the spectacle. It's about other people seeing it. It's about the townspeople seeing it. It's about the city seeing it. It's about letting the world know, here's what happens when you challenge the status quo. And so they let Candace go, and they thought that Candace was dead, that she could only exist if she was propped up by major media outlets. That's why I thought it was so interesting when Candace came back this week and launched her own podcast, her own channel on her own page. Now, I watched a few minutes of episode 1 where she said something, oops, I got fired or something like that. And I watched a little bit of episode 4, but I don't really watch Candace Owens like that. But I did watch it to see what would happen. Candace Owens got the last laugh. You know why? Because she may not have 3 million subscribers as she does on their page. She got over 1.5 million right now on her own. And her show was trending all week. Her clips were doing well all week. They were at the top of the charts. So while they thought they were going to break Candace Owens, they thought that they were going to eliminate Candace Owens. You see, she tweeted from her own page, 2 episodes out. This is after day 2. 2 episodes out. And the Candace Owens show is charting number 7 overall on Apple and number 10 overall on Spotify. Plus, our first episode just crossed 1.2 million views on YouTube. You see this? You got the Daily New York Times, then you got Candace Owens number 2. Pod Save America is number 4. NPR up front is number 3. Tucker Carlson's number 5. Ben Shapiro. Where you at, Ben? Y'all see this? Ben Shapiro's number 6. So she is defeating Ben Shapiro at his own game. So they thought that they could break and destroy Candace Owens, and instead, she's on Piers Morgan this week. She's on YouTube. She's trending on Spotify, Apple, all this stuff. Now, let me be clear. This is not an encouragement to go out and believe what Candace Owens believes. I don't believe what Candace Owens believes. And I don't think you should watch stuff that is objectionable. But I got to tell you, everybody has a right to free speech. Everybody has a right to put their ideas in the public square and let the best ideas win. And they were trying to silence her ideas. So the fact that she not only didn't get silenced ultimately, but she came up and is beating the very people who they thought could control her voice because of their footprint. There's something good about that. There's something, no, let me just say good. That's not the right word. There's something poetic about that. There's something just frankly hilarious about that. And a little bit of it is, yeah, the Republicans are eating each other. Yeah. But there's also a poetic justice to it that I think is super, super interesting. Now, part of how Candace Owens is able to ascend that high, whereas somebody like me or Breonna Joy Gray or Katie Halper had to work a lot harder to get back, is because Candace Owens is still a right-wing Black conservative, right? Who is willing to articulate a particular point of view that Republicans want to hear, that white people want to hear, that America wants to hear. And so her base isn't tied into Israel-Palestine so exclusively or narrowly that when people walk away from that, they walk away from everything. Because the truth is, even if Candace Owens were anti-Semitic, and I'm not saying she is, there are enough people on the right who are evangelicals who are pro-Israel but actually don't like Jewish people, who would still resonate with some of the positions, even if Candace were anti-Semitic. And I don't think Candace has said anything anti-Semitic that I know of. So watching Candace Owens get the last laugh is a fun slap in the face to the Republicans, but it's also a slap in the face to anybody who tries to silence somebody or bully somebody into political uniformity. So I won't say shout out to Candace Owens, but I will say keep your foot on Ben Shapiro and Daily Wire's neck, because everybody over there deserves some accountability. That's all I'm gonna say. All right, y'all. One more story caught my eye today. Caitlin Clark is somebody who has been a lightning rod for criticism and adoration, right? And the other day, a reporter, James Boyd, asked her to talk about the issue of race and misogyny. Now, this is an interesting question. There's been so much Caitlin talk and Caitlin hate and Caitlin adoration and Caitlin this and Caitlin that. But I thought this particular reporter did something interesting. He asked her directly to comment. He added the caveat, I know you don't want to talk about this stuff. And then he said, what do you think about your name being used in racism, misogyny, etc.? I'm going to play the whole clip because it's worth hearing in its entirety. And then we're going to talk about what Caitlin did or did not do right. Check this out.
Caitlin, I know you mentioned that, you want to focus straight on basketball. Definitely respect that. But when, just to ask you directly, when people use your name for racism, misogyny, whatever, what is your response to that specifically?
Yeah, I think it's disappointing. I think, everybody in our world, deserves the same amount of respect. The women on our league deserve the same amount of respect. So people should not be using my name to push those agendas. It's disappointing. It's not acceptable. But yeah, I mean, this league is a league I grew up admiring and wanting to be a part of. Like, some of the women in this league were my biggest idols and role models growing up and helped me want to achieve this moment right here that I get to play in every single night. So just treating every single woman in this league with the same amount of respect, I think is just a basic human thing that everybody should do. Like, just be a kind person and treat them, how you would want to be treated. And I think it's, very simple.
Caitlin, I know you mentioned that, you want to focus.
That sounds simple. Now, there's a way that Caitlin Clark's answer was harmless. They asked her a question about race, and she said, she said, I don't like it when people use my name in racism, misogyny, etc. Just treat everybody the same. It's the fact that people don't treat everybody the same is a problem. Treat everybody the same with dignity and respect. Everybody deserves it. All true. But this Caitlin Clark is a terrible answer. It's absolutely terrible. And I hate that I have to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. I am a Caitlin Clark fan. I'm not a hater of Caitlin Clark. I'm an admirer of Caitlin Clark. I think she's a wonderful athlete. I think she's a generational talent. I think she's special. All that said, that ain't got nothing to do with the fact that that answer was terrible. And I'm going to tell you why it was terrible. One, you didn't name race. You didn't name gender. You didn't name sexuality. You didn't say what actually was happening. You heard the guy say, your name's being used and, attached to racism, misogyny, etc. Presumably talking about like the people who support Caitlin Clark and use her as a cudgel against black athletes and who talk about Caitlin versus them or etc. And Caitlyn doesn't go into the heart of the matter. Caitlyn speaks in generalities. Oh, yeah, you treat everybody the same, treat everybody with dignity. If you don't, that's bad. Caitlyn Clark is not racist. Caitlyn Clark is not sexist. Caitlyn Clark is not part of the problem in the sense that there are people in the world who don't want to see these Black women thrive or shine or survive. Let's get that out of the way. That's not who Caitlyn Clark is. But Caitlyn Clark is in a position of power. Caitlyn Clark is in a position of authority. Caitlyn Clark is in a position of privilege. That's right, the P word, privilege. Her ascendancy to superstardom is being used to normalize and justify various acts of misogyny and misogynoir, sort of hate against, particular type of hate against Black women. It's not her fault that people are doing that, but it's up to her to name it because she's the one getting the extra spoil. She's the one getting the endorsement deals that came on the backs of 3 decades of Black women who didn't get those deals. She's the one who's being cast as the good one, when, you know, as opposed to, you know, at Iowa when LSU was cast as the criminal girls, when they're doing the same stuff. She gets cast as special when Black point guards are doing the exact same stuff on the court in terms of preparation, game planning, etc. Ball handling skills, etc. Caitlyn Clark is extraordinary, but she's not singular. And white supremacy and racism allows her to be presented as singular. And it's up to her to say, not just that I'm not singular, but that I am being treated differently because of racism. She needs to name race. She needs to name sex. She needs to name the systems of oppression. I'm not asking her to be a sociologist. I'm just asking her to say, yeah, I get some shit I shouldn't get because I'm white. And they get some stuff happening to them negatively that shouldn't have happened to them because they're not white. It's that simple. And she's old enough to be able to say that because she's old enough to experience it. She knows what's happening. She knows that her Black teammates get treated different. She knows she's being afforded things that other people aren't. Caitlyn, name it. If you want to be an ally, it's not enough to be like, yeah, those racists over there, am I right? That's no different than the person. I have so many students who talk about their racist uncle, white students talk about their racist uncle at Thanksgiving. Oh, I hate going home for Thanksgiving. My uncle's so racist. He says the worst things. Look, I appreciate you telling me that, which feels really like a virtue signal. Just let me know that you're down and that you're not racist. You have to do more than that. You have to speak back to that uncle. You have to challenge that uncle. You have to hold uncle accountable, or don't go to Thanksgiving. Similarly, Caitlyn Clark, it's not enough to say, yeah, there's some people who are doing some stuff. You need to name the stuff. This is racism. At least at Thanksgiving, she calls it racist. Call this racism. Call this sexism. When you got people like Charles Barkley saying, oh, they're so petty. These girls are petty. Call all of that out. Name it. And also put something at stake. I'm not going to play if this happens. I'm not going to do this endorsement if this happens. I'm not taking this opportunity if other people don't take this, if other people aren't afforded this opportunity as well who deserve it. Caitlyn Clark, the lesson right now is that at your position, at your extraordinary position of power and influence and privilege, it is not enough for you to simply not be racist. You have to actively, as Ibram Kendi says, be anti-racist. You have to actively be struggling against something. You can't remain neutral. And that's where she is right now. And that's why I get so frustrated. All right, family. Thank you for watching Night School. It's been another wonderful episode hanging out with y'all. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. Let's keep rapping. Let's keep building. Let's keep growing. But for the channel to grow, we need your support. That means, please, if you can, hit the like button. When you hit the like button, it lets the algorithm know that you rock with us. In them comments too, y'all, everybody write present. If you're here right now, hit the button, or I'm sorry, type in the words present. Because y'all are present for school. Y'all present for night school, type present. Hit the like button. Also hit the subscribe button, family. If you hit that subscribe button, it expands our footprint in social media. We have 140,000 subscribers. We'd love to get to 200,000 by the end of the summer, if not sooner. By August 1st, I'd love to be at 200,000. But let's say by September 1, I'd love to be at 200,000 subscribers. It goes a long way toward letting the channel know what matters and how we matter. And of course, family, if you haven't, hit the join button. Hit the join button and subscribe and get a membership here. A monthly membership here is like, it's like tuition for night school. And when you join, you can join for as low as $3.99 a month. Get that pass. It helps us build a social media footprint. It helps us build the studio. It helps us pay employees. It helps all of the things happen if you hit the join button. By the way, I want to shout out Kyle Stevenson. If it's the Kyle Stevenson, I think it's one of my Morehouse sons. I love you, Kyle. Thank you for joining the channel. Sabrina Lee has been a member for 5 months and said, y'all know he about to murk this ball and roll. I don't know. I don't know. I'm less than optimistic. Robin Walker Murphy gifted 5 memberships. Robin, thank you for donating 5 memberships to the channel. You have no idea what that means to me, man. Thank you so, so much. Matthew Jones, thank you for joining the channel and becoming a member. We appreciate you. Jazz LP said the irony of it all, a genocide King Biden at an event singing a gospel song about the King of Kings, Jesus, who condemns any type of oppression of people. The cognitive dissonance is alarming. That's all I'm saying. It's like we're celebrating a freedom struggle of Juneteenth by going to the place where unfreedom prevails. And they're singing about liberation and justice and love and mercy and grace to somebody who doesn't extend it to the vulnerable. And then y'all kissing the ring too? That ain't right. That ain't right. Jeremiah Muhammad just gifted 5 channel memberships. I couldn't be more happy with how consistent and generous you are, Jeremiah. You are the man. Thank you so much, my brother. And Chad Zichterman, my God, just came through with the wow. He just gifted 50 memberships to the channel. Oh my God. Thank you, Chad. I'm so, so grateful for your generosity. It's not the first time you've done this. Every time it overwhelms me. I'm just overcome by joy and gratitude for you. Thank you so much. Those 50 memberships are going to go a long way toward building up the channel and creating support for the channel. Reginald Miller just gifted 5 memberships. Reginald and Jeremiah, when y'all gifting these 5s, man, you have no idea how much it is appreciated. You have no idea how grateful I am. Thank you, Reginald Miller. Now, first I thought it was Reggie Miller, like, 3-point shooter for the Indiana Pacers, but it sounds like a different one. Either way, I'm grateful for you. Thank you for the memberships. Thank you for supporting the channel. Everybody, again, hit that like button, hit that join button, hit that subscribe button. It means a lot when you do it. If you can't make a monthly commitment to the channel, I totally understand that. But you can make a one-time payment. You can pay your tuition for the month right here on the channel. You can pay your tuition right here for the month. All you got to do is go to Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, or Zelle and make a one-time donation. If everybody watching right now, would you just donate $10? If you went to Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, or Zelle, and just did a one-time payment of $10, which would be for the month, we would meet our payroll goals. We would close the gap toward building the studio, what I call the building fund. We could do all of that if everybody watching right now were to just donate $10 for the month. If you've already done it, obviously you don't got to do it again. But if you've done it, we'd be so grateful. You have no idea how much I appreciate you all, but also how much we depend on your support in order for the channel to thrive. There's so many things we want to do, from the War on Gaza reports to night school to office hours to the podcast, and we got so much more coming. But to do it, we need your support. Corporate media is up. Corporate media is winning. And the reason corporate media is winning this fight is because they have the resources, they have the strength, they have the support of the powerful. But we got the support of the people. And if we get the support of the people and we continue to mobilize and go and organize and galvanize and stretch and grow, we will be as good as anything in the media universe. So let's keep building, let's keep growing. Thank you for your support. And I'll see you tomorrow on Night School. We got a special guest tomorrow night. You're going to love it. Peace.